about 6.3 million US dollars coming from the US Department of Defense. We were the very first Canadian project to receive US DoD funding, and that's pursuant to a program that was actually put in place in 1985, and it took until 2024 when we were announced with another company as the first recipients of that funding.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Robin Goad. He is the CEO of Fortune Minerals. And Robin, it's great to see you today. How are you?
Well, thanks. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing very well, very well. Good to have you along. Excited. I know you've had some recent news out, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but maybe give everyone a bit of a background on the company.
Sure. We're a company that's been around for a little while. We've been advancing a vertically integrated project called NICO. It's a polymetallic deposit, meaning there are four different payable metals. It's primarily a cobalt asset, but there's 1.1 million in situ ounces of gold, 12% of the global reserves of a mineral called bismuth, and a little bit of copper. Then we also have a satellite deposit just to the north of it, about 20 kilometers to the north, which is Sudayan, and that's a 10 million ton copper deposit. But I think the most notable thing to sort of say about NICO is not only is it advanced, but it's vertically integrated, comprised of a planned mine and concentrator up in the Northwest Territories and a hydrometallurgical facility in northern Alberta, where we're going to process those metals right through to value-added products.
Yeah, you recently received $17 million in non-dilutive funding from the U.S. Department of Defense. Maybe talk to me a bit about that and sort of the work you were able to sort of really push forward with that capital.
Sure. The monies they're actually not grants. It's called contribution funding. So just to be clear, we have to prepay it and then it's reimbursed. And then in addition to that, it's the Canadian government also piggybacked on that. So about 6.3 million US dollars coming from the US Department of Defense. We were the very first Canadian project to receive US DoD funding, and that's pursuant to a program that was actually put in place in 1985, and it took until 2024 when we were announced with another company as the first recipients of that funding. And what it's targeting is obviously supply chain security and resilience. We have not only a cobalt asset, which is North American and will supply cobalt sulfate for the lithium-ion battery industry. Now our bismuth contribution in that deposit is becoming very important, but also the fact that we're vertically integrated. If you simply produce a concentrate here in North America and you don't, if you were to ship that material otherwise to Asia for processing, you've effectively lost the custody and control of that material. So vertical integration, it's in a part of the country where it's very important for mining projects to do well. The Northwest Territories, the diamond mines will be shutting down soon, and being able to produce three critical minerals plus a highly liquid and countercyclical gold co-product to help us mitigate metal price volatility.
Yeah, and you just completed some metallurgical testing. Some of the money was used to do that. That's essentially complete now. So obviously that's going to be updated for your feasibility study. Tell me sort of the next stages here where the company's going.
Yeah, exactly. So the money that has been provided by these governments is specifically to take this project to a construction decision. So there are a number of tasks which are being funded, including the test work, an updated feasibility study, because our previous feasibility study in 2014 is now out of date, feed engineering or front-end engineering design, which takes your project to procurement. And then there's a few permitting goals that we need to get. Even though the project has already cleared an environmental assessment and the major mine permits in the Northwest Territories, our refinery in Alberta needs to navigate the permitting process. And there's a few other management plans, and there's a gap in our road that needs to be permitted as well. So we expect to complete all that work in Q3 2026. And then we'll be in a position, subject to receipt of project financing, to be able to actually build this asset.
You mentioned you've been around for quite some time. The company has. It sounds like you can sort of see the light at the end of this long tunnel. It's an exciting time for you and the company right now.
It is from that perspective. Also, really, the change in the political environment is very important. We've been anybody that's been in the mining business as long as I have knows that it's always been a bit of a challenge with governments trying, over regulation, and it just takes forever to develop mining assets. Now we're actually receiving funding, so it's it's kind of a wake up and smell the coffee scenario where critical minerals just weren't being produced here in North America. And if we don't have those metals available for our manufacturing sector, then why build cars, for example, in North America?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Robin, thanks so much. Good update, and excited to watch your story as it continues to develop. Okay.
Thanks so much. Nice to
All
see
right.
you.
Nice to see you as well. Robin Goad, the CEO of Fortune Minerals.